It's time for another episode of an Inner Sphere Mech Warrior's Guide to painting filthy clanner mechs. So welcome back everybody. I'm Jason, the creator of the Tabletop Battlefield, and of course welcome. If you're new here, that works too, I guess. That's kind of an awkward intro, but who cares, right? And if you were offended by that intro, well, you're not alone. The last time I painted up clan mechs, I apparently was so offensive that, well, I was formally issued a bajal from one of the most, notorious Inner Sphere Mech Warrior mercenary companies around. I guess they've been getting a little too friendly with that clanner that sticks around with them during the history lesson, so we'll keep an eye on them. But today I've got a request from a comment from a few videos ago. This name is going to get butchered. German Anio B requested Clan Ghost Bear Alpha Galaxy. And when it comes to this unit, they really play up that galaxy theme, even though the galaxy is obviously a terminology for military organization within the clans, but they've got a charcoal color base with a blue nebula galactic swirl camouflage pattern going on. And of course, this is going to be another speed paint. So you're looking at about 35 minutes from start to finish, not factoring in the two rules of speed painting, which are 1, the miniature's already primed, and 2, we're not factoring in drying time. So get enough miniatures for an entire galaxy and start painting away. Start off here, we're using a black spray primer. And as normal, I've got my 3D printed priming tool out. In the show notes of this video, you can find a link to my Etsy store where you can purchase the STL files for this tool. Let's start with a charcoal base color, and we're going to begin with Dawnstone Gray from Games Workshop Citadel line of paints. And we're going to be applying this guy with a pretty heavy dry brush. Dry brushing layer 2 is up. This time we're working with a light gray color in the form of Negative from CvltCraft's line of paints. This time we're looking at a little bit less coverage, maybe 50 to 75% of the miniature. We're down to the last layer of dry brushing. At this time, I say that because there's going to be a lot of dry brushing later on. But for now, we got a layer of off-white to apply. I'm using Brainmatter Beige from Army Painter's War Paint series. And this is the least coverage of the layers so far, probably 25 to 50% coverage of the mech. Once the 3 layers of dry brushing have dried, it's time to move on to the step which darkens the whole mech back to more of a charcoal gray, charcoal black color. And for this, we're going to be using a black wash. Now, I'm not going to be using a commercially made wash because those are too thin, so I'm going to be making my own. In this case, I'm using Unlight from CvltCraft's line of paints, but pretty much any black color can work for you. Thin it down, maybe 4 parts water to 1 part paint, and then apply as many layers as necessary, allowing time to dry in between to get the final look you're going for. Now once the layers of wash have dried, we're going to move on to the galactic band. And this is going to be more dry brushing. I warned you about that one. I'm going to start with a very dark blue color. For this step, I have Kantor Blue from Games Workshop Citadel line of paints. Instead of using a dry brush, I'm going to be using your basic layer brush, something simple you can beat up. And this is because the brush size on the layer brush is smaller than that of the dry brush. I need a little bit more control during these steps. Now on to step 2 of 3 for the galactic bands. Basically the same kind of thing we just did, but I'm going to be using a lighter blue color. At this point, I have Elementalist from CvltCraft's line of paints. The one difference here is you want to leave some of the darker blue color showing, so don't cover everything up. Just keep this lighter blue color a little bit more constrained to the darker areas you just painted. One more layer to the galactic bands, and I've got a light blue color to finish it off. In this case, I have Simone from CvltCraft's line of paints. I'm basically doing the same thing as the previous 2 layers, but once again, I'm covering even less of the galactic bands. I want to be able to see both of the previous 2 layers underneath this one. With the galactic bands done, it's time to add some stars to them. And for this process, we're going to take a white color, and I'm using my Brainmatter Beige once again, And just with a very fine detail brush, I've got my Artificer Layer Extra Small brush out. I'm going to dab on tiny little stars as carefully as possible around these galactic bands. And one quick bonus tip while you're doing this process. When you pull your brush through the paint, if you twist it, that'll help give your bristles a nice sharp point for applying these stars. And we're just about done at this point. The next step is going to be to take some bright silver. I've got Shining Silver from Army Painter's War Paint series. I'm going to dry brush a little bit of this on a few areas of the mech just to simulate some battle damage and that the metal is showing through underneath the paint job. For the final step of painting process, we want some bright red. I've got Rapture from CvltCraft's line of paints, and you want to very carefully find the windshield and paint that red. In the case of this mech, there's about 4 panels, so make sure you get each one of them. And once again, this is a nice process for the Artificer Layer Extra Small brush. With that final step, our miniature is complete. Well, thank you guys all for watching. Once again, I'm Jason, the creator of the Tabletop Battlefield. Any formidable jaws, put them in the comments below, and I will respond to them in a somewhat offensive manner. Because your clan and rules of warfare are stupid. Oh boy. I'm going to get in so much trouble for these videos one of these days. Anyway, alright, well if you want to see more tabletop miniature painting, whether it be Battletech or Warcaster or something like that, hey, there's a Warcaster guy sitting over here. Oh, and there's a Marauder primed and ready to go. Wonder what he's going to be like. But of course, if you're interested in real combat robotics, that's also something we talk about on this channel every now and then, so you can subscribe for that. So with all that fun stuff out of the way, have a great week.